Welcome to Virtually Amazing, the podcast for virtual assistants, with me, Shelley Fishel of Tomorrow's VA, and Joe Brianti of JLB Business Consulting. Each week, we chat with amazing guest experts, all aimed at helping you grow your VA business. So sit back, grab a cuppa, and tune in for a fun-filled episode. Welcome back, listeners, to Virtually Amazing, the podcast. And I'm here again with Joe. Today is the 3rd of August when we record this, although this webinar will not be going out until I think it's the 16th of September or the 19th of September, whichever is the Monday that week. So that's when it's going to go out. So Joe, since we chatted last week when we recorded the last episode, what have you been up to?
Oh, busy, clearing the decks. I go on holiday this week. So tying up loose ends, chauffeuring children to and from activities. And as we were talking earlier, I've secured a really exciting project for October, which is a webinar in GDPR for a local authority, which is all very exciting. So
very good. That's very exciting. Very exciting. Well, over here, I'm in Israel, and it is the midst of the school summer holidays, just like it is over there. And my son, daughter-in-law, and their 5 children have rocked up to stay. They arrived yesterday morning, and they're staying till Thursday lunchtime, where they're going home Thursday afternoon. And the reason they're going home Thursday afternoon is because that's when my cleaner comes. So I said they can come in the middle of the week. I didn't want them to come for the weekend this time because they get bored. They come during the week, they can go out and about and do things. But on Thursday, my cleaner comes. So I have to go before she gets here. Isn't that mean of me?
That's great. No, it's great because then she will help you to get everything ship-shape and relaxed, ready for Shabbat and a quiet weekend for you.
That's the theory anyway. So today this is the only piece of work that I'm doing this while they're here, because it's impossible. 5 kids in the age range 3 to 9. So you can imagine it gets a little bit noisy. So they've all gone out. The girls have gone to the beach with their mum and the boys have gone bowling today. So David's gone with them. So to be an extra driver and just to kind of join in, and left me here in peace. And I'm sure listeners, you can all identify with the bit about I'm saying being left in peace. And I shall say no more about that because I feel really mean, but it really is. And you know, our kids are all grown up and we're not used to having small children around anymore. It's not normal for us. And they've taken over the flat. We only have 3 bedrooms. So we've got 5 children sleeping in one bedroom, or camping in one bedroom actually. So it's and toys everywhere, which again you're not used to. So it's but it's lovely, but it's just kind of a bit of a shock to the system.
Do you know, I'm sure that there are a lot of our listeners who will really be empathizing with you because we've got kids off on school holiday and we live that life all the time as parents.
Yeah, well, I used to, but it's just a long time since I did. And, you know, normally they'll come on the holidays, the Jewish holidays is when they're normally here. So, and then it's different. Actually, them being here during the week is really good because it means we can do, yesterday, the boys went to the beach yesterday. So very religious Jewish people, men and women tend to do things separately. They certainly wouldn't mix on the beach. So there is a beach where I live in Netanya, a bit further north, where they have a men's beach and a women's beach, or rather they have one beach and there are men's times and women's times. So yesterday afternoon the girls went, and this morning, yesterday afternoon the boys went, and this morning the girls have gone. So I've got a couple of hours to sort the podcast and a meeting out, and then this afternoon we're going to play games. Got a pile of games here on the dining room table, and then we're going to go out and have a barbecue in the park after that. So that
sounds fabulous. Yeah, what an exciting day.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So that's good. But I think it's enough about us kind of waffling on. I've got various webinars in September, October, all kind of lined up. So I'm not going to bore you all with those. I'm delivering next week 2, which will be the 10th and 12th of August. I'm going to be delivering in-house workshops for a big international insurance company. So we've got one on Teams which is very much more advanced than my normal team stuff. So that's quite exciting. It'll be the first time I've delivered that content. So that's quite fun. And then I've got my top tips one, which we're going to do half an hour on each of the packages, roughly, 40 minutes or so. So we'll see. It's going to be 90 minutes in total. So I'm quite excited about those because I love doing those. And that's it. So I think we'd better stop waffling away here and get in our guest for today. Now, it's really interesting. Our guest today is very interesting. And there are lots of connections, which I'm sure we'll talk about with him afterwards. So our guest today is a lovely guy called Matthew Hughes, who's all about video. He's a video king. I think that's what he calls himself, video king, king of video.
Yeah, YouTube king, yeah.
Yep. And Joe got hold of him because Joe knows him through one group. I actually know him from two other groups, or at least one other. I'm in the same group that Joe knows him from, and I know him from another group that I've been a member of for a long, long time. It turns out I think we've crossed paths a few times, but not made the connection. And not only that, Matthew used to be an IT trainer like me. And he knows all about all the stuff. So when he saw that that's what I did, he was very excited. So I think between us, apart from all the yummy video stuff we're going to talk about, we're going to have a lot of chit chat today. So it's going to be fun. So I'm really looking forward to this interview, especially as he's all about video. And we are recording this both audio and video. So that's going to be quite interesting. And let's go cue him up. Welcome back, listeners. And I'm delighted that we've now got Matthew Hughes, who is the king of video, with us today on the podcast. And Joe invited Matthew in to the podcast, and then we discovered that I know Matthew through another Facebook group. So it's all connections, and the online world is getting much, much smaller, I think. Yes. So you seem to rock up against the same people all the time. So Matthew, do you want to tell our listeners a bit about you, who you are, king of video? What does that mean?
Yeah, well, king of video is just a domain name. Like anything, when you're looking for personal brands or anything like that, my namesake is a UFC fighter and author. So trying to get a UFC fighter off the top of Google is a hard ask. So I was looking for a personal brand. kingofvideo.co.uk was available, and I was like, you know what, can I really do this? Can I take that title and own it? And that's what I've done really over the last couple of years. My background, though, just so to add a little bit of sort of weight to the name, really, is that I've had a video company for 7 years. We traveled the world making video. I started that company having never made a video before in my life. And we managed to, in the first 6 months, we went to Vegas, Copenhagen, Amsterdam, creating video for expenses only for a bunch of tech companies. So so that's kind of a very small, short, potted history of what went on there.
That's fantastic. So what sorts of things do you do with video now then? If that's where you started, you said you did it like for expenses only. It's quite a good way to get in, isn't it? Then at least you can practice and hone your craft. So what sort of video do you do now?
Yeah, so that was 7 years. And that was I closed that company on February the 29th, 2020.
Oh wow!
Some would say was not a great time to start a new company, but actually. I think timing was quite good, and the King of Video brand started about a year before I closed the actual the video company, and I had a big moment in my business where I had to really decide what I wanted to do with my business and my life, and I really decided that the two things I really enjoyed was training people and creating video. So with the King of Video brand, I kind of decided that helping business owners and entrepreneurs confidently and consistently create video content that connects with their audience, which is the strap line, is what I wanted to do. And I feel like if I think about, and I don't know about you guys or anyone that is listening that runs a business, running a business is hard. There's so many things about it that you don't really get told when you start. That when I think about my business now, it's a completely different business, and I love every single day. Like, there's nothing that's a chore. Before, I've had up to 6 or 7 staff before, and we had a really lovely office, and organising logistically where everyone is doing different filming bits and that kind of thing. Like, it was just so much effort and so much hard work. Whereas with the stuff that I do now, coaching people really how to get started with video online and sometimes take their offline businesses online. Like, it's just so enjoyable. I just love what I do now. So I think that's kind of the nice transition that I've made.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And we've talked about it before on the podcast, Joe, haven't we, about really loving what you do, because it does make a big difference, a big difference. So what's your training back? I mean, I know, but what's your training background, Matthew, that the 2 things you said you loved?
Yeah, so I decided training, I've seen this in various different ways. Value, joy, profit is one way I've heard people describe it. So you look at the different things that you do, what you can make money on, and where you can give the most value. If you can get the thing in the middle, then you're winning. And I was a trainer in my former life as an IT person. I've been in IT and tech for 20 years. Whilst I was running that video company, I was still a 6-figure IT contractor. And I realized that I just love, I love sitting and seeing people, their eyes light up when you teach them stuff. And I've just done it all through my IT career, either informally, teaching people how to get started with computers. I taught an 80-year-old how to use a laptop. She didn't know what right clicking meant.
Yeah.
And so, like, she sat on this I did like a community course. It was an 8-week course, and by the end of it, she could use a laptop. She can connect it to Wi-Fi. She went to PC World and bought it, and I helped to sort of make some of the decisions. And like, when you do stuff like that and you see things change with people, you really know that that's a wonderful thing to do. And then naturally over time, because that was about 12 years ago, I did more and more training and got asked to do more training for all the roles that I did after that.
Yeah, no, that's good. I have a similar story. I had a lady, she was 82 at the time, and she had a computer. She wanted to get a new one, and she didn't have a computer. That's right. She wanted to buy a computer, and she wanted to be able to email her daughter who lived abroad. And see the pictures of the grandchildren. So I went and sat with her. I went to PC World and bought the computer and bought her a desk, which she paid me back for, obviously. And we set it all up. And it was only a few things that she wanted to do, but once she could do those, and she loved buying old china. She used to go searching for china online, like old. And once she knew how to do that, she said, I'm less mobile than I used to be, and this is now my gateway to the world. And she could do her online shopping, and it really changed her life. It was amazing. I'd forgotten about that.
I think, like, when I coach people and train people now, whether it's standing in front of a camera or doing things that they feel that are not natural to them, that's uncomfortable, like, I always think about that woman, because people say to me so often, I say this, and I really listen to the words people use. If you coach anyway, you do that, but they'll say things like, oh, I'm a technophobe, I'm a dinosaur, I'm too old to learn that stuff. And I'm speaking to people that are like 50, and I'm going, hold on, what? You're too old. Like, this is, I don't understand. Like, it just, like, I don't see a correlation between age and learning new things. They don't work for me. So I really try to say to people, well, if that's how you feel, what is it that gets you there? Like, what makes you feel like, oh, well, I can't understand the tech, or I don't get this. And then when you get down to it, actually, it's not that they're too old. It's just that they usually have been taught that picking up a new skill is not something that's available to them, or it's, it's going to be more difficult than it is, or whatever. So I think helping people through that, again, is just a wonderful thing to do. And when you see them then running around doing lives wherever they are, Facebook lives, again, it just fills me up wonderfully. So
yeah, that's great. Joe, have you got any questions for Matt before I launch into another monologue?
Well, it's interesting because I've just learned something that you teach people generically about video, because I've always perceived you to be, and maybe through doing one of your challenges, all about YouTube and people kind of delivering content through YouTube, which I know you do quite a bit of. So your offering is clearly broader than I understood.
Yeah, well, it's really funny because the YouTube thing, and like the journey in the last 2 years has been really strange, because of course, when you're doing all of this stuff, people say you have to niche. Well, you have to find a niche, you have to pick an ICA, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so with the video thing being so broad, what I decided to do quite recently, only like 6 months ago, is, okay, I'll start looking at YouTube. There's no YouTube coaches, or the ones that are massive YouTubers. I'm not that person. Like, can I help people grow their business on YouTube from the start? And I've come up with a really great structured format on how to do that. So that's great. So I did that. But then what I've done is I've changed into Digital Marketing Rockstars, which again is really, really broad. So it's coming away from video and being more about digital marketing. Video in tech is my focus with Digital Marketing Rockstars. But the reason why I tell you that is because I'm a little bit, and I don't know if it's fair, and I might regret saying it in 10 years' time, but I'm a bit anti-niche, because I just feel like you're told to niche so often. And actually, like, there's a word, and I completely forget what it is now. There's a word when you're an expert in a couple of different things.
Yeah.
And like, I've had 20 years in IT and 7 or 9 years in video now. So I'm an expert in those two things. And for me to ignore one of them and fully niche into the other, it doesn't work, because naturally what happens is I go to somebody to help them with YouTube or video, whatever, and they start asking me questions about software. They start asking me questions about the tech not working. And naturally, I help them. And so I just, with Digital Marketing Rockstars, I was like, look, I'm going to focus on video and tech for the online world. And I'm going to do video and tech. And my niche is going to be online business owners, whatever that means, not VAs specifically, or not, personal trainers. I'm just going to say it, and I'll live and die by it and see what happens. But, I think, I love the way it's going at the moment, so we'll see. But anti-niche, I don't know if that's a thing.
Anti-niche. I like that.
I actually totally get what you're saying. So, because as you know, I'm a software trainer, and I am niche because I'm only Microsoft Office. I don't do much other stuff, although I could pick it up and learn it if I had to. But I chose to niche with VAs because I felt if I didn't choose a VA niche, it would be too broad. But the truth is, even though my company's called Tomorrow's VA, and I do focus on VAs, I am slowly being pulled into the corporate space, which is where I came from. So it's I kind of, because my stuff is actually relevant to all assistants, whether they're personal assistants, executive assistants, or virtual assistants. But I think that the thing about the niche bit, it's more about the marketing language that you use. It helps you focus on who you're talking to rather than what you're talking about. But I do hear what you're saying, and I'm torn. In fact, I have a second brand as well. And,
I understand it. I totally get it. If I think way back to when I first started the business, I definitely did everything for everyone. Yeah. And that made it really difficult to find somebody. And over time, the first 5 years of the business, the video company, we slowly realized that 80% of our business was tech companies. Yeah. So in the end, we only really targeted tech companies. But with this online business stuff, like, I help people that are yoga teachers. I've got property guys. I've got a woman that does tutoring maths. Like, they're such wide businesses, but probably the most common thing across all of them is they're all trying to create online businesses. I mean, I'm building 2 membership sites for people, which is completely not video. But they told me a story of how they were stressed out about the tech. They didn't know what to choose. They wanted someone else to do it. I gave them a figure and they said yes. I showed them mine. They said that's exactly what I want. And then it makes sense to make that connection. But I would never have gone out and said, hey, I'm the membership guy. Yeah. It's just how it, naturally worked out, I suppose.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that you do that, because I think we all do that, don't we? We all kind of help our clients with whatever it is that they need help with. And I think this idea of like the niche or the label is just that, isn't it? It's just like a hook to get known by. Yeah. And I think you're right. You do kind of have a niche because it's, as you said earlier, online businesses. So I think that's great. So how can video help our audience of VAs and assistants? Because we do have some executive and personal assistants who listen in too. So what can they be doing? What can they be thinking about with video to enhance what they do?
Okay, so I'll give you a scenario, and I think hopefully this will not fall on its backside, but I'll give you a scenario, right? So And this works actually really well for YouTube as well, but it's applicable to video in general. If I want a VA right now and I say to the world, hey, or Facebook, because it would be, hey, I need a VA, who can you recommend? What happens in that situation? And you guys will know this so well. It is a sea of responses. And actually for the person, the business owner choosing, it's so really difficult to make the decision because you are just overwhelmed with choice. And so invariably you go for the person that you like the most that recommended somebody, or the person you trust the most. It's very often not about the person that's the right person for the job or the most skilled or anything like that. They don't really get a look in because you recommend. So what I do in that situation and what I suggest to people is video gives you the opportunity to stand out in all of that. And where it relates to YouTube, and when I get people started on YouTube, the first thing I say to them is create your first 12 videos about the common questions that people ask. So one of them could be, I need a VA, who do I choose, or why would you choose me? So it could be the answer to that. And then what happens is in that sea of responses, you can drop in your video or a Facebook Live or something that you've done or YouTube video and say, here I am. And this is why I'm a good fit. So again, if we're thinking about niche, and let's say it's a property business and they need a VA and you're the VA for property, you've decided property is your niche. You could say, right, you will have created a bunch of marketing content around that niche. Yeah. And you could drop that video in there and say, this is why I'm the VA for property investors or whatever. And you just stand out. It's just massive. It's a massive like flag in the air that says, yeah, you need to pay attention to me. And what happens, and again, you can tell me whether you feel like this or not, but I certainly have felt like this from a video perspective, is all the other people that don't have the video sit there and go, damn, I wish I had a video to answer this thing. And then sometimes they watch because they, competitive analysis, you want to see what are they charging, all that kind of jazz. So it really, it not only makes you stand out, but it gives you like a bit of authority status in that situation, because everybody else is kind of looking at you with, you're the peacock in the room with a big yellow top on or whatever, So I think that's kind of one of the obvious ones when it comes to growing your business. But then the other part of it, I guess, is not letting people ask that question. If you create a Facebook Live every day, or if you go online and do video every day, people don't ask those questions anymore. What they do is they say, I know who the VA is I need to choose because I see him or her every day online. They're talking about their craft, they're sharing stories about what clients they're working with, and there's no doubt. And I guess for you guys, if I ask you to pick on like I don't know, like a health and fitness coach, you could probably think of somebody now because they're so vocal and so they're doing so much video and stuff online. And I certainly know that. I asked a question about health the other day and I got 300 odd responses. Like, how overwhelming is that?
I saw that one.
Yeah.
I saw that one.
A bunch of pictures as well from people. And I just kept saying to them, look, you don't need to pitch here. Because if I wanted to go with somebody, there's somebody in my world now who I know already that I would trust. So I'd immediately go for them. That's not what this is about. But I still got loads of people adding me and messaging me. Of course they do. They're trying to grow their business as well. But but the reason why I know that other person is because they're so front and center on video. So that's why you should do it.
Okay, so that leads me into a question. So you're a VA in this case, and you've got your niche, what have you, and you haven't got the foggiest idea of where to start or what to do. So what's the first thing that VA really needs to do to make this happen?
It's really, really super simple, and I'm so glad it's so simple because you can do it like right now, today, and you don't have to overthink it. And it's not even Facebook Lives, which is usually where I tell people to start. The thing that you need to do is to create stories, Instagram stories, Facebook stories. Facebook and Instagram are so integrated now that you'll appear on both if you set it up that way. And you do 2 stories a day. So think about it, stories, because if you're thinking, I'm not a video person, I'm worried about all of this stuff. Instagram stories are 30 seconds long. I think you can do longer ones now, but 30 seconds long. They're non-persistent, so they don't hang around. So if they're god awful, it's okay. They're only god awful for 24 hours and then they'll disappear. And by the way, they're always going to be awful at the start, so that's okay as well. So they hang around for a little while. So if you think about what you can do with them, there's two things that you need to do. The first one is the one in the morning, and then you're going to do another one in the evening. If you do this for 30 days, I promise you, people will slide into your DM saying, I need you in my life. And the two things that you do is in the morning, you say, hey, it's Matt. I'm doing this thing today. I've got this on my plate. I'm going to help this person. I saw a great one. A friend of mine and VA, Kylie, she posted yesterday. She was doing a webinar with somebody, and she was sitting in this webinar, and she had to sit and watch through it. And I thought, what a wonderful post, because you've told me you do that kind of thing, which I wouldn't have known it before. Joe, you mentioned like stuff that you didn't know I did before. If I did more of these stories myself as well, eat your own dog food, Matt. But it's giving me a real insight into what she did. And then there's the one you do in the evening is, this is what I did today, or this is what I learned today. Learning is great because everybody loves to learn. So, if you can share that, people will respond to you. So this is what I'm doing today. This is what I did today. Do those two stories. So a full 60 seconds of video every day for 30 days, and you will get more business in your inbox. I promise you. And it can happen as quickly as well. In fact, the other day when I did a guest expert session with someone, they did the first video the day after, and they immediately got a lead in their inbox saying, I need to work with you.
Wow.
So one video.
Right. Okay. Well, Joe, I know what we're doing this afternoon. No? It's not a problem.
I have to, it's one of those moments where I have to pull my big girl pants up and just get out there and do it. But it all feels a bit complicated, and you always assume that you have to have massive amounts of software and kit and all this stuff. And
that's why stories are beautiful, though, because you don't need any of that. You just need your mobile phone. And you just need your mobile phone. There's in my guest expert session, I go through a bunch of things. It's largely confidence related, and then some tips and stuff, right? But like, I talk about the fact that we overcomplicate stuff all the time, and it just doesn't need to feel like that. You can just tell people. And one thing that I mention, one of the tips in there is about documenting, not creating. So if you think about video or content in general, if you do blogs and all that kind of stuff, if someone says to you, I need you to create two pieces of content every day, I need you to create two pieces of content. If I ask you how you felt about that, most people feel a little bit overwhelmed. Some people that do this stuff all the time, they're like, yeah, I can do that, no problem. Give me 20, I'll do them all in a day. But for most people, the planning, you sit there and you think, I've got to create content. Okay, so I need a plan. So then I need to figure out what equipment and what software, and then I need to do this. And then what if they're bored, and what if it's not that interesting? You think about all those things. But if you flip that on its head and say, document your day instead, you don't have to think about there is no plan for documenting your day, because unless you have a real structure, like it's summer holidays for me, and, I've got the kids around, like my day can't be the same as it is normally. Yeah. So I can't plan it. I would, yesterday we had a plan to do stuff. It didn't happen. So with documenting, you literally are just talking about what's happening in the moment. And so, Joe, for you, I would say, outside of the obvious stuff that will come across when you see yourself looking back, right? I've got some techniques for that. You can talk to me about it afterwards if you want. Outside of the obvious insecurities you've got, and I'll tell you my insecurities, right? A couple of them now. I've done 1,000 Facebook Lives on my profile, at least 1,000, over 1,000 now. I've still got a big forehead, right? Because I always have my hair up, so I still got a big forehead, and I've got dodgy teeth, right? And most of the time, in fact, nobody's ever said that to me. Nobody's ever come to me and said, "Oh, Matt, why is this? Well, look, big forehead guy. Why is this?" Like, they just don't. It's like, because people are nice, I'm helping them out.
But isn't it always that way, that you've got the thing with your hair or your hand or whatever that is, and nobody else notices it? Because
of course they don't. Well, so think about that. That's just one main issue, is insecurities. So of course Nobody really cares about that stuff. I'm like, people say, oh, I can't go on camera because they'll see my face. I'm like, have you been to a networking event? Yes, I go to them all the time. Okay, so people still see you walk in the room and like, it's the same person. What's going on? Yeah, but I've not got my makeup. Anyway, so insecurities are always there. But the other thing is about it is like the other kind of things people think about is, what if it goes wrong? What if I make a mistake? I'm not really that confident. What if I stutter? Like all of these things. What if a troll comes on and abuses me, which has happened to me once, and it was really awful, right? Really awful. I can't even repeat what they said on this podcast, but it was really awful. But because I was trained at the time, I had support, I had a coach at the time, I knew it would come, and when it came, I was okay with it because I knew how to deal with it. You know, I thanked them for their time and attention. That always kills them. Yeah. But you think about all of this stuff happening, and I tell you what happens. It's the complete opposite. People say, "Oh, hello, Joe. It's nice to see you on live. I didn't know you did Facebook Live. So when did this start?" You know, like they start talking to you, engaging with you, and you're like, "Oh my God, this is a whole." It's like a whole part of my world that's opened up now as a way to engage with people, as a way to reach people and connect with people in such a deep and meaningful way that you think to yourself, why did I never do it before? Because it's just a missed opportunity. You know, you spend so much time sitting there writing all the copy and deciding on an image or creating something in Canva to put with your copy, and you can just open your phone and go live. It seems like a natural thing. What's wrong with Canva?
That word's come up again. Look.
Yes, it's not Joe's favourite. We're not going there, Joe. We know you don't like Canva.
No, but I think I'm absolutely agreeing, because, you know, if you think about a blog or something, or, you know, the graphics, whereas, you know, the Facebook Live, what you're saying is effectively I just get on my phone and say, hi, how are you? Or whatever that message is.
Yeah.
And you can be a little bit more raw, I suppose, when you're doing it like that.
Yeah, well, there's that. But, you know, eventually, because there's a thing on YouTube that they say, like, the first 100 videos that you're going to do are always going to be awful. So you may as well get them out of the way, right? Now, I'd question and I'd argue, if you have a coach, that doesn't need to be the first 100, it could be the first few. But, like, when you get going with lies, when you first start, you realize that you can start being really creative and really subtly selling. And I mentioned it before with the document not creating thing. When you do the stories and you say, hey, it's me, Kylie, and I'm doing this webinar thing, you're subtly telling them the things. So with your lives, I talk about telling stories. So everything you talk about should be a story. And then you're just subtly seeding all of your products and services in the bottom of it. And when you do that in such a nice way, had a woman come to me this week and she said, just like you mentioned, Joe, like she said, Matt, I've got a bunch of ladies in Dubai. We have this wonderful group. We'd love to do some YouTube stuff. Can you run some kind of challenge or come in and do a guest expert stuff? Like, she came to me. I'd never messaged her before. We've not had any communication. We've probably been in comments and stuff. But what a wonderful opportunity. This woman's in Dubai with a massive group. What a wonderful opportunity. Just because she'd seen me doing a video and she's obviously heard, I'm a bit more direct these days. I will say, I've got a masterclass this Friday. Do you want to come and join? Because every now and again, you have to be direct and ask for the sale, right? But there's so much you can do that is underneath the hood, that people are just learning so much about you. That think back to the example I gave at the start, like where's the VA for property? You can just stand out without even doing anything extra to stand out. But it takes practice. Like, don't think you're going to do that. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to do it and go, oh, bloody hell, I'm the wrong way round. Like, or something like that. Like, that's going to happen, and that's okay. But over time, you become such a wonderful salesperson for yourself that if you're running an online business, like it becomes a no-brainer to do it, because the more you show up, the more people come towards you.
Fantastic. I love that. I was listening to a book called Atomic Habits by a chap called James Clear. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And he tells the story of a photography course, and he has however many students he has. He splits the class at the beginning of the year into two. Half the class he tells them they're going to be graded at the end of the term or whatever on the quality of the picture that they submit. So they only have to submit one picture. The other half of the class, he tells them they're going to be judged on the best of the quantity that they submit. So he says two things happen. It was a very fascinating experiment that he did with these students. Those that took lots of pictures just went out and took pictures, and they just kept taking pictures and taking pictures. And gradually they figured out how to position their camera and what the lighting meant and all the rest of it, because they just kept doing it. The other group spent most of their time debating what makes a great picture. Should we set the settings like this? So at the end of the term, the one group only submitted one picture, but they thought it would be their best picture. The other group, because they submitted so many, they got so much better at taking pictures by the end of it that they just had so much better images, whereas the perfection group had a mediocre image, and the other group, and I'm sure you'll hear it or you'll read it when you read the book, but it just really made sense to me, what you just said.
So and I love that, because that's you've just described my video company, right? I didn't know what I was doing. We just did it and did it often, and eventually we were like, oh, if we do it in f2.8 at ISO 400, this is going to look amazing. We figured it out. I remember I did a photography course about 2 years into my video company. I thought I better learn how to do this stuff properly, and the whole of the 2-year course, photography course, is really 6 weeks at the start. They teach you how to create an image, and after that it's just practice. Right. So but when I remember the photography teacher walking in, and he looked at the room and he said, this room, if I wanted the best picture of this room, I need to set my camera to these settings. And he reeled them all off. And I remember just looking at him like he was speaking hieroglyphics, thinking, I will never be able to do that. But of course I can now, because I know it's not even difficult. It's scientific, So I love that. And the other thing that you mentioned is, and it goes against what everyone tells you, because you've just talked about quality versus quantity, right? And unfortunately, everything everyone says about quality is a complete lie. Everyone tells you, you don't need to do loads, because just do one a week, but make sure it's full of quality. Like, that's rubbish. It's an absolute lie. If you put stuff out there relentlessly, eventually, and you test and you measure and you see the things that work, eventually you find the thing that works. There's a guy on YouTube called Mr. Beast, biggest YouTuber in the world, I think still to date. And the first 4 years, I think, of his channel was a gaming channel, and he had less than 1,000 subscribers in the first 4 years. He's now got something like 62 million or something. Wow. And then what he did when he did the gaming stuff is he eventually changed, and he does like big massive giveaways and stuff now. So going to a restaurant, for example, and tip the waitresses like gold bars, like bullion, like they give, because he gets all this money from the YouTube algorithm and stuff. But the point is that he just relentlessly created video until he found stuff that started to work, and then once he got that, and he figured out, and he would have still had days where, just like you will have days if you do Facebook Lives, where you go live and you're like, I'm sure this should have been interesting, but there's nobody watching. There's no comments. I've thought of the best topics, and I've gone live and I'm like, oh, that died. Horrible death. Still happens now, but it's not. You've got to just keep doing it and keep testing and keep putting stuff out there. You will not get better. And that story you've just told, the Atomic Habit stuff, is brilliant, because it just shows what we all do, which is analysis paralysis, overcomplicate it, and then never do anything.
And is it better to go live in a group or in a membership, or just on your Instagram or your Facebook page? What is your best approach, or to do something and then put it up onto YouTube?
Well, I mean, it's a really hard question, because there's so many answers to that, and there's so much about that question. Like, for me, if I have my ultimate strategy now is to create one video a week and repurpose that video and use it everywhere. I have Content Repurposing School is the course that I've got that delivers that, and the thing that I've created is called the Content Repurposing Framework. The thing that kept me awake last night is how I'm going to tell everybody about it. But I believe, rather than creating loads of content, which is the opposite of what we just talked about, you can create one video and have that be your masterpiece and put it everywhere. But you, in theory, if you're not comfortable on camera yet, you can't do that until you become comfortable on camera. Like, you've got to start doing the thing and get rid of all of the cobwebs and all of the insecurities. Not get rid of them. Let me retract that. You've got to be comfortable. You've got to learn to deal with them. Like the forehead thing and teeth thing, it's never gone away. But now when I look at often in Zoom, I'll turn my own camera off so I can't see myself. Or like if I'm on my mobile phone, I'll put a Post-it note over my face. And it's not because I don't like those things anymore. Like I say, I've learned to deal with them. But it's just to stop the distraction. You know, I want to look straight at my audience and make sure that I'm talking to them. And you just learn to deal with it. Like imposter syndrome, I always think it's funny that people talk about getting rid of it. You can't get rid of it. You just see it as a little friend trying to keep you safe in the end. Okay, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to do it anyway. You know?
Go away.
I'm going for it, you know. So
Matt, this has been fantastic, and I think we could carry on chatting for hours, but unfortunately today we don't have hours to carry on chatting. So I've got my son and daughter-in-law and their 5 children staying with us, and they've been banished from the house this morning to the beach. Well, half to the beach and half to go bowling, and they're going to descend on us in not very long. So I think on that basis we need to wrap up, otherwise we're going to be, never mind photo bombed, we're going to be video bombed by scruffy kids. So I think
it's been hugely interesting and so helpful, and personally very inspiring. I may even be tempted to get on with it.
Well, there we go. I was just going to say, Joe, we're going to see you on video yet. We definitely are. Listen, look, you've been doing this. This is episode 61. So you've been doing video. You've done 61 episodes with me now. So, you know, you can do it.
Don't sit and be comfortable. Like, just break out a little bit and try something different and see what happens. And
do you know, I think I'd prefer to do video than Canva. So that's the way to go.
That's definitely the way to go. So Matt, how can people get in touch with you? And you just mentioned you wanted to think about how to tell people about your new program. So here's your opportunity.
Yeah, so my website is kingofvideo.co.uk. That's my personal brand website. But the membership that I'm growing, which is Digital Marketing Rockstars, is available at dmr.academy. And we focus on video and tech across the digital marketing sphere. And there's a great community there. So like today, I'll have my accountability calls are at 11. I have a tech surgery on a Thursday. So loads of great stuff there if you're interested in that kind of stuff.
Well, that's fascinating. So if you send us all those links, anything that you'd like us to publicize, they'll all go on the webpage that goes with this episode. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you online on video somewhere, I'm sure.
Thanks, everyone.
Welcome back, listeners. Now, that was a fantastic interview there with Matthew Hughes, or the King of Video. I think there was so much content there, from personal branding, which we've talked about, new domains and moving, niching, anti-niching, all of that stuff, plus all the video tips. So I think that our listeners will have had a lot of notes from today's episode. Joe, what do you reckon?
I agree. And personally, I too have taken a lot of notes. Matthew, I've seen him do lives before, and he is always great value and really, knowledgeable and willing to share that knowledge. So it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've been guilty of doing lives and dropping off doing lives. I've done Facebook lives on the Tomorrow's VA Facebook page. If you go on, what this has made me think of is maybe popping in onto the Virtually Amazing page every week and just doing a live about the guests that we've got that week. So I might start doing that come September. And I'm definitely going to start doing stories on Instagram. I've never quite got the hang of it, but now that I've kind of got a structure there from Matthew, which I think was fantastic, the idea of twice a day documenting your day, then I think I'm going to be doing that too. Not today though, because today's too busy with kids coming back any minute now. So, yes. So yeah, so what's on the agenda for you for the rest of the day, Joe?
I've got a GDPR project to finish today. I've got a website compliance piece that needs to be finished and sent off today. And yeah, that's about it for today. Oh, in between that, it's obviously school holidays. So there's feeding, watering, supervising, managing, refereeing. And yeah, just the usual kind of stuff that kind of comes from nowhere.
Yeah. So I'm going to have a meeting with the lovely Martine in about 10 minutes to discuss the 2 training courses that I'm delivering for her organisation next week, just to make sure we're doing it all inside Microsoft Teams. So we need to make sure that they've set up the team correctly and the channels, and then I can go ahead and get all my stuff uploaded beforehand, which is, not scrabbling around on the day. I'm very much all about the prep and getting things prepared and ready so that you're not stressed out at the last minute, scrabbling around for which folder did I save that thing in? I can't be doing with that. So that's, I'm looking forward to chatting with Martine shortly. And then the kids are going to come back, half from the beach and half from bowling or shopping or ice cream eating or something. And then it's going to be lunch, which I have to say, with 5 kids, it's not always a pleasant sight. And the sweeping brush definitely will be coming out afterwards.
Yeah, it's like feeding time at the zoo, isn't it, when you've got little ones?
Yeah,
because there's never quite enough, and there's hands, and
it's entertaining. Yeah, very entertaining. So that's, and then this afternoon we're going to play games. So we've bought Monopoly, we've got Rummy Cub, we've got a couple of puzzles for them to do. So the idea is that the parents can have a bit of a rest and the grandparents probably play games. And then about 4 o'clock, when it's hopefully starting to cool down a little bit, we're going to go to, there's a great big park up the road which has got big climbing frames, all wooden structures, and they can run around and climb them. And we're going to have a barbecue. We're taking a disposable barbecue, and we're going to barbecue beef burgers and sausages, and that will be supper. So so that's quite good. So today is going to be quite full on.
And then Thursday afternoon, you can have your lie down in a darkened room once they've all gone home.
No. Tomorrow we're going out for the day with them. We're going to, there's a local place, my son found it somewhere, and it has a petting zoo. I think it's a kibbutz, or that kind of small village town, and it also has a museum about Theresienstadt, the concentration camp. So we're going to go there. It's about, because we're children, specifically Theresienstadt, there are a lot of children there. So certainly the adults will go in there. I don't know if we'll take, I think the children are a bit too young to go into that yet. Maybe the 9-year-old, but I think we'll give the others nightmares. So we'll do that. And then Thursday morning, they'll potter around, and then lunch, we're going out for lunch with them. We're taking them out for lunch, and then they're going to go home. I'm going to come home, and my cleaner's going to be here, and that's going to be amazing. So I tell you what, it's really made me realize how I value the place being organized and tidy. And when it's now not tidy, I really feel out of sorts. And it's making me think about our interview with Sarah Broadbent a few weeks ago about about the tidy company. And I've really, obviously it's, for me, it's become a state of mind. That I like things just so, and I would never have thought of myself as somebody that was like that. This has made me, them descending on us again has made me realize I need to have my things in order, or I feel very out of sorts, which is a very sad state of affairs, but hey ho. What can we do?
And that's, on that note, I think we probably better dash off for our appointments, get sorted, and we shall see each other when we're all back from holidays. And
enjoy your holiday, Joe. Have a wonderful break, and I've got lots of things to do over the next few weeks, but it's going to be fun anyway. We're going out for the day next Monday, so we are going to have our day out next week, so that'll be good, and we can talk about that when we're both back.
Yeah,
So,
happy days.
See you in the next episode, listeners. Goodbye for today. You have been listening to Virtually Amazing, the podcast for virtual assistants with Shelley Fishel and Joe Brianti. We will be back with you again next week with yet another amazing episode. See you then.